Yeah, it is another episode of the Autumn Windbags. RJ Clifford, Juan Soto. Let's have some fun today. Raiders head back home to Legion Stadium with the number one wide receiver inactive, asking for a trade. The number two wide receiver inactive. The number one running back inactive. The starting quarterback benched. And we're all wondering who's going to step up. The second-year quarterback? Is it going to be someone on the defense? Is it going to be the O-line? Who's going to come up and be a playmaker? Is the defense going to start getting takeaways? Is the offensive line going to start taking over where Aidan O'Connell start throwing darts? Who is going to step up for the Raiders in week 6? And the answer was fucking nobody. Raiders fall to Steelers 32-13, and it shouldn't even been that close. I think both legs are completely gone because the Raiders shot themselves in the foot so many times. I don't think there's a weapon in America with enough bullets to equal how many times the Raiders shot themselves in the foot today.
Did we start? Did we start yet?
Oh, yeah.
You going? Oh.
Just like the Raiders. Hot start.
Oh, yeah. I think the problem, that's the underlying problem to every little thing that we have going on with this team is that we are weak. This team is mentally and emotionally weak. And that comes across in the mental mistakes, that comes across in turnovers, it comes across in coaching mistakes. It's just weak. We are weak. We are a weak-minded team.
You show me some evidence that proves you wrong. Like, how can you? There's no way to say no, Soto. That's definitely not the case. There's no evidence.
As soon as something goes wrong, the wheels fall off.
Well, I think there's like when it's this.
I'm not in the mood to argue this with you, RJ. Let's just talk about what happened.
I haven't even started.
Not to argue with me, but
you're moody. I get it. You're moody. You're emotional.
RJ, don't do that, man. Don't make it about me. Don't do that.
I didn't make it about you. You made it about you. I'm saying this. With a team with a first-year head coach, a team with an offensive coordinator that has yet to prove he's good, a team with arguably the worst quarterback situation in football, a team with this lack of depth from 8 years of terrible drafting and roster management, a team with this much turnover at head coach, a team that's this bad at tackling, a defense that is historically bad at taking the ball away. There's a lot of things that are wrong. Is the team mentally weak? I mean, that certainly could be the case. But I think there's I think there's a lot of tangible elements that you can easily point to of problems. And if they're weak, that could be part of it. But I don't know if weak is why all of our running backs decide to fumble. I don't know if weak is why no one knows how to form tackle. I don't know if weak is why our quarterback situation is what it is. I mean, when there's this much wrong, it steamrolls and it can become a lot of things. And again, you got real defensive really quick. I didn't say you're wrong. I'm saying there's a lot of things that are wrong. And there's no way to prove you wrong, Soto. When you're like, this team's mentally weak, it's like, okay, like if I was like a defense attorney and you're the prosecutor and you're like, RJ, the Raiders are mentally weak. What defense could I possibly show to say that you're wrong? Like, what evidence can I bring to the court and say, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this defense is clearly not mentally, this offense is clearly not mentally weak. This team is clearly not mentally weak. Here's Exhibit A. I couldn't even get to Exhibit A.
I can give you one exhibit to how they are. We didn't see all those missed tackles. We didn't see that Jack Jones. We didn't see that.
We saw a lot of missed tackles has been a problem all season.
Okay, you want to let me finish what I'm saying, or
maybe I might interrupt. I might not.
No, you're fine. You can go ahead and keep going then.
No, finish your point.
No, it's pointless. You're going to interrupt me again. So we want to do this today.
Missed tackles has been a problem with this team all season.
I understand that, but you didn't even know what I was trying to say. So
obviously, turnover has been a problem this entire season. Poor quarterback play has been this entire season. You add the injuries to it, and you're going to get a team like the Steelers. Justin Fields didn't play good. He's not a good quarterback. Najee Harris had a good game. Najee Harris played really well. But other than that, it's not like, the Steelers had some studs. It's not like, there's like, all right, they're just, so much more talented. They just beat us. It was just, it's like we talked about in the pre-show, right? Like the Steelers aren't going to wow you with anything. They're just super good in the gray area. Well coached. Don't turn the ball over. They did have more penalties than us. They did make some mental mistakes here and there, and they didn't do anything dazzling. But in the NFL, there's so many bad teams that if your strategy is just like let the opponent beat themselves, you're going to win a lot of games that way. And the Steelers are the best example. They're 4-2, just being like, we're going to let you shoot yourself in the foot all you want, and we're going to win. We're going to go 4-2 that way.
Lord knows. Yeah, the evidence of a weak-minded team is we didn't start seeing missed tackles today until the wheels started coming off. Those are guys that's you can't stay focused. You start trying to do too much, and you're thinking that you start losing confidence in your teammates, because ultimately when a player tries to do too much, it's because they don't have confidence in their teammates, or they have so much confidence in themselves that they're so much better than their teammates. Just do your job, man. I guess there can be an argument made that players who aren't starters in the NFL make more mistakes than players who are starters. So I can see that. Well, we had so many starters missing and we have a lot of backups playing, and they're not as, tightened up on a lot of things that because who fumbled? 2 backup running backs. Yeah. Those are the guys that fumbled. Are guys that are actually in there all the time that they didn't fumble.
Did you feel bad for Laube, or were you pissed at Laube? Because I'm like,
I was pissed at him.
First carry ever in the NFL, and you get one of the best defensive players in the league just punching it out, and like, well, you're never going to see the ball ever again. Like your season was a 1 carry.
2 backup linemen doing roughing the passer penalties on 3rd down that they didn't convert. One was an interception. I mean, it was called on Maxx, but it wasn't Maxx. It was Chason. A backup, I would assume it would be a backup that missed that block that got our punt blocked, because those are usually the guys on punt. The kind of an iffy call on Jackson Powers Johnson on the touchdown. Mm-hmm. I mean, these are huge mistakes. AP not throwing the challenge flag on the Abdullah touchdown. I mean, these are like really big mistakes that it's hard for any team to overcome. So I'm not saying that our coaching staff is the best coaching staff in the league or they're untouchable, but I lay this loss on the players, because the players went out there. They're not coaching these guys to not have ball security. They're not coaching these guys to rough the passer. I mean, if everyone who could get let go after this year got let go, I wouldn't be surprised, because this was like the embodiment of everything that's gone wrong with the season, but it all happened in 1 game.
Mm. Yeah, it was kind of the embodiment, right, of 6 weeks all into one.
Yeah.
Who's going to be the quarterback? Well, it doesn't really matter. A bunch of giveaways, no takeaways, piss poor tackling. And it's like it's bad angles. It's bad form tackling. It's
Jack Jones got fucking juked for like a 30-40 yard run.
And the guys are in position. Like Patrick Graham is putting these guys in position. Like Patrick Graham is like,
man, you got to execute.
Yeah, the scheme is good.
This is what pisses me off a lot when the first thing I hear is, and I honestly don't care if we do or we don't, but I hear fire Getsy. I'm like, well, you know what? They were moving the ball. They were moving the ball when they weren't turning it over. Oh, Aidan O'Connell's on the podium right now. Go ahead and talk. I'm gonna mute myself.
I mean, we moved it here and there. Obviously, the turnovers are like, those are complete killers. Only 3 yards per carry running. We only ran it 19 times, obviously, because we were behind the whole time. So it was, negative game script. But look, Luke Getsy has yet to prove he is a good offensive coordinator in the NFL, right? He has yet to prove that. There is more evidence that he's bad than he's good. He had Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams in Green Bay as the passing game coordinator. Like, again, Soto could be passing game coordinator with that tandem and be successful, right? Goes to Chicago, and they're like, it sucked, but was it Fields? Was it Getsy? Was it Fields? Was it Getsy? It might have been both. Who knows? And then you come to this team, and, if you don't have a quarterback, you're probably not going to win a whole lot of games. Like, you're literally going to have everything. You're going to have to be the Steelers. You're going to have to be one of the most well-coached teams in football. You're going to have defensive superstars all over the place. You're going to have to be one of the best, turnover margin teams in football. You're going to have to win all the gray areas, and then you can be 4-2 without real quarterback play. And we don't have those things. We have a fantastic defensive coordinator. We got a stud tight end. We got a lot of promise on the defense. We got one of the best defensive players in football in Maxx Crosby. But just so many starters down, just no depth, and then all the mental mistakes and errors, no offensive cohesion. And you get games like this against a team like the Steelers that aren't, superstars, right? It's not like you're getting crushed by Josh Allen or Derrick Henry, or Lamar Jackson. It's like, some plays, there's nothing you can do. Like, they didn't have anyone like that and nothing like that. You just sit back, let them shoot themselves in the foot. That's the Steelers' game plan. And today against the Raiders, it was perfect. That's all you had to do. Just let them fuck up.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that keeps me from being on the fire Getsy bandwagon is that you see the offense. There were some questionable calls, like when we had a penalty, or I think it was a sack. No, it was a penalty. We had a penalty, and then we ran the ball twice, like fucking 1st and 20 and 2nd and 18 or some shit like that. That's questionable.
Yeah.
But the actual offense itself, we're moving guys, we're getting guys in motion, guys were open. We just have to execute better. We have to be able to execute our plan better. Honestly, for the most part, I think that DJ Glaze did a pretty decent job against TJ Watt. He had a lot of help, but I think he did a pretty decent job. Colton Miller had another bad game, I thought. He got beat on a couple of runs that were blown up, and it was his guy that blew it up. Yep. It's not an easy fix when it's a lot of things. And it's hard. It's hard to I can't defend it. I'm not trying to defend the questionable play calling. I'm not trying to defend the not challenging the touchdown run that could have been a touchdown. I'm not sure if it would have been or not. But it's kind of hard to condemn the offensive coordinator when you have you can see the guys on your screen running down the field open. It's not getting the ball. Is O'Connell not going through his reads quick enough? Is he too worried about the pass rush because it's the offensive line isn't holding up enough and it's crumbling around him?
Yeah,
I don't know. The thing is it's hard to put your finger on one thing when so much is wrong.
Yeah, and it's also one of those things like, look, football's such a team sport where it's like, yeah, if we had Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, they could clear up a lot of these problems, right? You have like a magician at quarterback. It could like take care of a lot of issues and it can mask a lot of problems. If you had a brilliant offensive coordinator, it could mask up a lot of problems. If you had an insane offensive line, it could cover up a lot of problems. But when there's not one thing to lean on, then you're kind of fucked, right? Like
everything's below average.
In World War II, all the castles that got taken out in Europe, there would always be like giant chunks of castle that would be erected and stayed up because they would randomly, when they would repair castles in like the medieval times, they would like, oh, this side of the building's going down. They would just structurally add the integrity to one side and would keep the whole place up until like Hitler dropped bombs on it, right? And that's kind of how it is in football. Like if you have one amazing thing, an amazing offensive play caller, an incredible quarterback, incredible offensive line, it could hold up all the defense, right? We don't have anything amazing anywhere on offense. And so that's why it's, you're exactly right. Like, is Luke Getsy just that bad? Maybe, but he doesn't have, like, is the offensive line just that bad? Maybe. Is Minshew and O'Connell just that bad? Maybe. They don't have a support staff to let you know where the problem is. There's so many holes in the boat, you don't know what's sinking it. And that's an awful problem to have when you're like, you can't pinpoint exactly who the problem is. And when everyone's playing terrible, you can't just say, well, fire everybody, right? Like, you got to start finding the holes. It's not possible, right? And I think that's where the fire Getsy comes from, because it's the easiest thing to change, right? You can't change the entire offensive line. You can't get a whole new thing of skill players. You can change the quarterback, which we did. No change. That's the one. That's the one easy, not fix, but like you can try something. So I get the fire Getsy. It's like, we're desperate. This is terrible. Let's try something. And Getsy's the easy something. Let's get into O'Connell.
The game plan was easy to figure out. Get the defense moving sideways. Try to catch them. Try to outnumber them in certain areas, and get yards after catch. Get the ball out of the hand of O'Connell quickly. But you can't win in the NFL that way. These players are too fast. You have to win. If you're going to win with passing, you got to win vertically, and we're not able to do that. It's what I said before the season started. Why I felt like before the season started, why I felt that Minshew was a better choice, even though they were so close in the preseason, was because he gave you a little bit more of a vertical threat. It's so hard to dink and dunk down the field when you have to do that for a couple of different reasons. You have a lot of receivers out, your top two receivers out, that usually win outside. You don't have those guys on the field. You just have a lot of like guys that are scatty after the catch. And you're not super pumped about your offensive line being able to protect your quarterback, who's not very mobile in the first place. So you got to get the ball out quicker. It's super difficult to dink and dunk your way down the field. And that's Aidan O'Connell. He's shown us in 2 different seasons, 2 different games, in 3 different offensive coordinators. That's his game. He's not a push it down the field type of guy. He's a get it the ball out quickly type of guy. And you can work that way, but you got to be well oiled. You can't make mistakes. You can't drop balls. You can't miss assignments. You can't have penalties, and you can't have turnovers. And we did all that.
Johnny Gones, thank you so much for the super chat. A bright light in the start.
Johnny Gones, man, this is a G right here. True G, top G.
Fellas, this has to be the start of tank season. Soto's going to love to hear that. Who gives a shit? Put Max and IR with a broken heart. Let's get Ward and change this BS. Do you want to take this one or should I? We did a whole video on tanking that we released on Friday.
Yeah, the only way you can really tank in the NFL is if you just, like you said, you just put all your players on IR, and the ones that you can't, you just trade them. And ultimately that it's very difficult to come back from that, especially when you don't have to. Like if you have to, like that Colts team, I think that's the last team that really tanked and got the whole suck for luck thing. Mm-hmm. But they were bad to begin with. They were a bad team to begin with. And then a majority of their main players got hurt. So they were just bad, like organically bad. Yeah. And they traded away a couple of pieces to get some more draft picks, and they were able to rebuild. But we're not in that space. We're to begin with, we're not as bad as that Colts team was to start off with. We are injured right now, but a lot of the key guys that are injured aren't like season-ending injuries. Those guys are guys that can come back. Once we start trading guys away, okay, then maybe I can understand it happening organically. But to purposely tank, when you see Maxx Crosby out there giving it his all in every single snap, that's just a way to get him to want to leave. And all the good that you've done, all the good that you do, because look, regardless of what you wanted, the wheels fell off at the end of the game, towards the middle of the third quarter on, because the team is mentally weak and is pretty much started giving up without giving up. The mistakes started to pile up on top of one another, and that's just lack of focus. But before that, you were close.
For an NFL team to tank, the owner has to be on board. And Mark Davis isn't. For a team, like, look, Antonio Pierce has reportedly a 2-year contract. He's not going to, he can't tank. His job's on the line. He has to win now. You think maxx, like, for players to tank, every single player, like, how many guys are on a contract year? How many guys are on 1 or 2 year deals? How many guys are looking for extensions? They're not going to play bad. They're not going to play shitty. Their future's on the line. And maybe like, hey, I hate this place. I don't want to play here anymore. You still got to look good if you want to sign somewhere else for more money. Like every single play of every single player is stamped on their resume forever. And one, Mark Davis has to tank for that to be the case. 2, we don't have a tankable team. Tanking is when you take your expensive older players, get rid of them, and get draft picks. We don't have expensive older players. The only expensive older player we have is Davante Adams, who wants a trade. Like, we're going to move on from Maxx? That's who you want when you're rebuilding a team. We're going to trade Brock? That's who you want when you're rebuilding a team. All of our linemen are all under 30. Like, and the good ones you'd want to keep. The bad ones you move on from. Like, this isn't a tankable team. This isn't a team that, like,
money. Anyone who's making any money, that's the guy. Like, you wouldn't trade Brock because he's not making any money. He's cheap. But you would try to trade Wilkins, who you just signed. You try Maxx is making a lot of money.
He's on a 4-year deal and you want to keep him. He's young. Like, when you tank, you want to be good in 2-3 years. These are players you want in 2-3 years when we're supposed to be good. This isn't like the Rams or the Saints where it's like a bunch of old expensive players trying to win now. That's not this team. So they're like, there's no, like, tanking can't happen. Like the logistics aren't there to tank. And that's that's assuming Mark Davis is down to tank. That's assuming that he's like, all right, AP, I know you signed a 2-year deal, but I'm gonna give you grace and extend it because we're tanking. Like, it's just not tankable.
Yeah, but that's, you hear that a lot, and the coaches are still fired.
Exactly. Like, best case scenario, stars align. It's still not a tankable team.
Yeah, let's move on from tanking, dude. I don't want to talk about tanking anymore.
I think it's fair to bring it up regularly because people don't hear it sometimes because it's very important to understand. Like, it's just not feasible. And I get the emotion. We're pissed off. We just watched maybe our biggest rival, not in the AFC West, kick our taints in. I'm pissed too. And so you want to do something drastic. Fire Getsy, tank, fire AP, whatever. Like, I get it. Like, I understand. I feel it too. But luckily, because Soto and I just talk nothing but Raiders all day long and do the show multiple times a week. Like, we've walked it through. We've gone through the logistics. Like, how would this look? And we've done the math. Like, we've done the mental PowerPoint presentation on what tanking looks like. And it's just not going to happen. It's just, the pieces aren't there. The roadmap isn't there. So I understand the emotion. We're not talking down to anyone that says tanking. Unless you hear this and you still say tank, then you're an idiot. But if you just, like, feel that way, I get it. I feel you. I get it.
Yeah, I mean, if you just don't understand how, like, sports and a team, building a team and how contracts and all that stuff, if you don't understand how that works, then yeah, you're going to be a tank guy. If you're like you only worry about football during the football season on Sundays, not any other time else, then yeah.
That's why we're here for you, right? That's why most of you are like that, right? You're like, hey, I like to watch my team on Sundays. I have a job. I have other interests. I have a wife. I have family. I don't have time to sit down and think for 3 hours what tanking looks like. Like, I get it. Like, that's okay. But that's why we're here. McBud, always Santa Claus here on the Auto Windbags. Thank you for gifting a membership. We appreciate it.
Someone go in and grab it.
Grab it. Make your move. Be quick. All right, let's get to quarterback. This was the break glass in case of emergency. Offense is shit. Let's use Aidan O'Connell instead of Gardner Minshew. And we always had that as an option, right? Because Gardner Minshew, Aidan O'Connell, you could have been Team O'Connell, Team Minshew. I think we can all agree neither one of them is drastically better than the other. I thought they were almost exactly the same. I've said multiple times why I thought it should have been O'Connell, purely because he's younger. There's at least more potential that he can be a lot better later than we think, more than Minshew. Whether he is or not is one thing. Two, hopefully he's part of the long-term plans of the Raiders as a very good backup. And so I want him more experience, right? I didn't think either one of them were all that different from each other. And they were almost exactly the same quarterback today. You go through Gardner Minshew's last 3 games. Against Carolina, 18 of 28, 214 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Against or the first 3 games. Baltimore, 30 of 38, 276 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Against the Chargers, 25 of 30, 257 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. The wheels came off the last 2 games. Cleveland, no touchdowns, no picks. Denver, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, and he was pulled. But when Minshew started out, he was almost exactly the same as O'Connell was today. 27 of 40, 227 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Now, he did only have 1 sack, which is a lot less than Minshew, and he had no fumbles. But other than, like, not eating his boogers, that's what I've been saying the whole time. They're kind of the same. Like, Minshew and O'Connell, they're like the Spider-Man meme, but instead of Minshew pointing his finger at O'Connell, he's putting it in his nose. Like, they're basically the same quarterback. Inside this offense with not a great offensive line, one of the worst run games in football. They both don't have great arms. At least in one game, O'Connell was a little bit better with the ball and a little bit better not taking sacks, but they're basically the same. Except O'Connell's got, potential to be, maybe he could be better, right? We only have a half season of his rookie year and 1 game in his second year to go off of, right? There's at least more potential for him to be something better than he is than Minshew. Minshew, we know what he is, right? You can like him or dislike him, but we know what he is. McBud, thank you so much for the super chat in pounds. Is that euros or pounds? I'm American. I don't know anything else. If a team goes down the tank road, the coaches will get fired too, not in their interests. Exactly. For a tank to happen, the owners have to be on board. It's like the Dolphins with Brian Flores. Like, the owner was trying to tank. The owner was actively trying to tank. But he couldn't because Brian Flores wouldn't let it happen. Like, they were getting rid of everybody. That owner was trading everyone, just hoarding picks, not signing good players. But through Brian Flores' just like stubborn will, they got to 8 wins and and he still got fired, right? Like, and that's the other thing, even with an owner on board doing everything possible to tank, sometimes it still doesn't work. It's exactly like McBud said. Antonio Pierce isn't motivated to tank. Patrick Graham doesn't want to tank. Luke Getsy doesn't want to tank. Not a single player wants to tank. It's like the logistics of it just don't work. Mark Davis doesn't want to tank. That's just not how his brain works under that haircut. Like, that's just not how, like, it's like, hey, we might be lucky enough where we just suck so bad we pick top 3 anyway. But if we're going to be that bad and we get a top 3 pick, it's because we're just that bad. It's not because there was a brilliant orchestrated effort by the coaching staff, front office, ownership, team captain. They're just like, oh yeah, okay, here's our coordinated game plan. We're going to tank, and here's our 12-month plan, and here's how we're going to do it, and here's how we're going to get the number 3 pick. Like, that ain't happening. And if we do end up sucking this bad and we do get a top 3 pick, there are going to be people, mark my words, that are like, oh yeah, we just tanked. That's why. It's like, no, we just sucked. It's like last season, there's still people that say Josh McDaniels was trying to tank last season. There's actual people with brains in their skulls that said, oh yeah, we were just that bad because, McDaniels was purposefully trying to tank. It's like, no, he just sucked. He just fucking sucked. He sucked so bad, it looked like he was tanking. The suckiest bunch of sucks that ever sucked. There's a big difference. Another fun game by Brock Bowers. A little spark of positivity, a little ray of sunshine. Brock Bowers, 9 receptions, 10 targets, 71 yards, had a great catch on midfield that was really impressive. He had an 18-yard reception. He had a great game. Individual efforts on the defense were pretty good. Trevon Merrick had a season high in tackles, 10 tackles, 8 solo, 3 tackles for loss for a safety. I think it was the first drive. He had that, he blitzed and just like blew up a running back out of the gate. That was beautiful. Robert Spillane, this is the least amount of tackles he had in a game. He's had 8. Normally, this is the first time he hasn't had double-digit tackles. Nate Hobbs had a lot of tackles and a pass broken up. Obviously, all these defensive stats are a little inflated because the offense can't get a drive together. So these guys are on the field a long time. So you're going to get a lot of guys with a lot of tackles. Our offense being so bad is going to make Robert Spillane a Pro Bowler because he's going to be on the field so much. But good for him. Like, he deserves it. Like, he's that good. He's that awesome. Maxx Crosby, pretty standard game for him. 3 tackles, 2 solo, half a sack, 2 tackles for loss, 3 quarterback hits. He's still going to be Maxx Crosby. And again, he's not going to get the recognition he deserves. He's not going to get Defensive Player of the Year because the rest of the defense isn't good enough. Like, that never happens. You never get Defensive Player of the Year on a bad defense. Not going to happen. So once again, he's going to be underappreciated, undervalued, overlooked, and just looked at as like a motor guy. Oh yeah, he's just so good. He just really tries hard. It's like, no, dude, he might be the best player in football on the defensive side of the ball, but he can't get anyone helping him out.
So Maxx Crosby cleared up the shove. It was like a pumped up type of thing to Mike Caldwell.
Okay.
He wasn't like pushing him to like be upset. He was like, yeah, what's up? Type of thing.
Got that. Glad they got cleared up. So there's all the obvious issues that we have. One thing that's not getting talked about enough is our defense's complete lack of takeaways. 2 takeaways in 6 games. Historically bad. We're talking about all like the turnovers on the offense, which are also atrocious and historically bad and a major problem. I like to make sure that things that aren't getting talked about get talked. That's why I talk about AJ Cole so much. No one talks about how much he's positively helping this football team with his punts, right? No one else is talking about it, so I take it upon myself. No one is talking about how bad our defensive takeaways are. And this isn't even just like bad luck, like fumbles happen and sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. Like the first half of the season, there was it was a backwards pass by the Raiders or by Fields. And there were 3 Raiders around the ball and 1 Steeler. Guess who grabbed it? Steeler. Like, this is a major, like, in this defense at times play its hearts out, and a lot of guys are playing better than we expected. The offense is playing so terrible, and they're stuck in bad positions all the time because of all those turnovers, and they're on the field so much because of lack of drives. I'm not trying to just destroy this defense because they're doing a lot of good with what they have. But it is atrociously bad having 2 takeaways in 6 games when you have Maxx Crosby, Jack Jones, Robert Spillane, Christian Wilkins, Patrick Graham putting you guys in position. I mean, it is historically bad. You should have 1 turnover fall in your lap every game. You should have like a quarterback just hit as he's thrown and it's a jump ball, or a running back just running through the line and just the ball falls and you fall on it. Like, you should have 1 takeaway a game just by falling into it luckily. Like a blind squirrel gets a nut every now and then, right? Like the broken clock's right twice a day. All the other things, all the other sayings. And somehow we're managing only a third of a takeaway a game.
Yeah, I think the Packers have multiple takeaways in every game. Like, that means more than 1 for you.
Greater than 1. Sam Abadondo, you changed your name, Sam. Welcome aboard. Thank you for being a member. Thank you for the super chat. Very much appreciated. We don't have to try to tank. Just keep doing what we're doing. Also, nobody is getting fired. The Rams are going to get right versus us. No one's getting fired. Covers did a graphic, a tweet, and it's like, who's getting fired first? And it was like Jaguars coach. It was Mike McCarthy and Antonio Pierce in his 6th game after signing on to be a head coach. Like, there's no way AP gets fired this season. The guy, I take that back. There would have to be something insanely drastic. It would have to be a complete mutiny by the players. It would have, you know what I mean? Like, it's just losing in your first year. Again, it's Mark Davis. Anything can happen, but that just seems insane to me that AP might get fired like midway through this season. Maybe at the end of the season, if the wheels really come off. And if there's like someone good available that wants to be coach, it's like, okay, maybe there's something there. But midseason, I don't know, Soto. That sounds wild to me.
I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but it would be super, super crazy. And it would be Be really disheartening, man. Really disheartening for a lot of the players too, because the players were really pushing. A lot of the players that are still there were really pushing for AP to get the job, and you know, to have these types of second halves where teams pull away on them, it's tough, man. It's tough. It's tough to watch. It's tough to watch. The Broncos do it. It's tough to watch the Steelers do it. In consecutive games, it's tough to watch the Panthers do it. It's tough, man. It's not just that we're losing; it's how we're losing. We're not staying competitive. We're not staying competitive in these games.
Andrew Evenstar, did Tyree Wilson even do anything today?
He forced Justin Fields to bounce out to the sideline to score his touchdown.
He lost contain to give Justin Fields a touchdown. He doesn't have a single stat line. Tyree Wilson. Ask me how many total tackles he has.
Probably zero.
Ask me how many sacks he has.
What, today?
Yeah.
0.
Ask me how many tackles for loss he has. Passes deflected, quarterback hits. 0, 0, 0, 0. He had a goose egg in every single stat. Aidan O'Connell had more tackles than Tyree Wilson today. Dylan Laube had more tackles than Tyree Wilson today.
So did Jackson Powers Johnson and Trey Tucker.
We had 4 offensive players with more tackles than our starting defensive end, 7th overall pick, Tyree Wilson. So, to answer your question, Andrew, did Tyree Wilson even do anything today? Maybe he answered some emails before the game. Maybe he got some laundry done. Called his mom. Did some early Christmas shopping. I mean, he might have done something today, but he didn't do fuck all on the football field. Not a goddamn thing. I saw him running around. I saw him doing stuff. I saw him getting a lot of snaps. But no, he didn't do fuck all on that field. If he helped somebody get grass out of their face mask, that's probably the only statistical thing he could have done.
Get out of there. Get out of there. Get out of there.
And he was starting to get a little bit of momentum. He was starting to show up a little bit, right? Seeing a couple different moves, pressuring a quarterback a little. He was starting to get a little bit of momentum. You're like, okay, we're starting and our baseline of what we are impressed by with Tyree Wilson should not be down here. He's a 7th overall pick in his second year with Maxx, Crosby, and Christian Wilkins to look up to and work next to. It shouldn't be yeah, I saw him kind of almost get some pressure on one play. He's really coming along. This is our expectations for Tyree Wilson. And he's not even reaching that. He's not even getting here. He should be here. We should expect him to be here. He should be at minimum here. But we expect him to be here. And he's not fucking here. Playing next to Maxx Crosby and Christian. Well, not today, Christian Wilkins. But with Patrick Graham as your defensive coordinator, Maxx Crosby there,
yeah, man. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? It's there was very clear points in this game when the game shifted. Last week it was the pick six. This week it was the block punt. We were still in it till the block punt. Held them to a field goal, but then we went 3 and out. They went and scored a touchdown. Then we fumbled at the goal line, and that still had a chance at that time. We were only 2 scores down. But
I didn't put running back as a giant need, a giant positional need when the season started.
We need everything, dude. We need everything. That's the thing. We need everything.
Well, tight end were good. End were good. Linebacker were good. Yeah. Kuntz, Maxx, Wilson? Like, are you going to
If
hire?
Tyree is our third end, we're not good.
Well, if you have two good starting ones, I think you're
No,
like,
you need
okay,
more than
you
that.
can always use
on the season.
depth, but like we're in desperate need, like especially if Davante goes, desperate need for wide receiver. I mean, obviously desperate need for quarterback. Like that's number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 on our top 6 on our list of top 6 needs. Quarterback. I mean, other than kicker, linebacker, tight end. We definitely depth at DBs. I think our starters in DB are pretty good. I think starters wise, we're not desperate. We desperately need depth. Why, like running back, we're desperate. Line, we need help everywhere on the line. No, that's not true. Guards are fine. Guards were good. Defensive tackle, we need depth and a second starter. Wide receiver, if Davante leaves, we need like 2
receivers.
We need receivers. Yeah. And we need a like we got like a running back by committee running back room, but they don't all have different purposes. Like they're all kind of the same guy. Like Zeus is just not gonna, he's gonna stick around for the rest of his contract and then he's gone. Like he's on his third year? He's third year, right?
I think it's the second year.
Second year? Okay. Yeah, he'll play out.
Oh no, he was a first year JMD draft.
Yeah. So this is his third season, right? So he'll stick around this season and next, and then
he's gone.
Well, he's gone.
Jack Jones. Can we talk about Jack Jones not being a number 1 receiver? Corner. We need a number 1 corner. I think Bennett's closer to being a number 1 corner than Jack Jones is.
I think Jack Jones flashes, but he's so like emotional that he's gonna like cause penalties. Like, I'm not giving up on Jack Jones yet. I think he.
I'm not giving up on him. I'm saying he's not a 1.
I think he can be a 1. I think he can.
Sure, I can be a 1 too, but
I'm
not.
What's he? He's a third year.
His third year. You know who he is. You know what he is. Missing tackles, not staying focused. Hasn't been able to generate turnovers. Got beat twice, pretty bad today. He's not a 1. We need a number 1 DB. I mean, but we knew that already. We knew that this secondary wasn't good. We knew they weren't. We knew that the defense had to run through the defensive line. Mm-hmm. And if Wilson is one of your starting defensive ends, and you don't have Wilkins, you're not going to be able to put the pressure enough to be able to help that secondary, and they have to do more and have to cover for longer, and they're not able to do that because they're not that good. But we knew that.
A lot of help all over the place, for sure.
Me too, Joseph. Me too. Joseph Rivas says, "I'm tired, boss."
That's a sweet logo.
Me too.
Like a Fresno State / Raiders logo with a bulldog. Pretty sweet. I don't even like Fresno State. That's a sweet logo.
Sure you do.
No, I don't. I wrestled at San Francisco State. They're our rival.
They spawned one of your favorite players of all time, any sport, any level.
You think about Derek Carr every single day. The second he was no longer a Raider, I moved on.
I didn't think about him until that came up. And how can I use this to my advantage?
You brought him up.
How could I use this to my advantage?
Every week for a year. How
can I use it to my advantage? I talk about it because of you.
That's not even remotely true. He is rent free in your brain to this day, and I don't understand
want him
why.
To be because
I don't understand why you brought him up so much when he was gone.
Because it irks you. That's why. Can I just be an asshole? Can I just be no reason for me to do it? Can I just be a jerk?
I would actually prefer that, but that's not what you're doing.
That's the reason.
That's what I would prefer it to be. But he's like genuinely.
If he were to retire, dude. If he were to retire or whatever, and I would never bring him up. But I bring him up just to piss you off.
And why do you bring him up now?
Because he's still playing and he's not on the team, and you're so heartbroken over it. But I'm not gonna look. Just let it go, man. I made the joke, and it's over, and that's it.
This is Soto every single time. Oh, Derek Carr, Derek Carr, Derek Carr. I'd be like, yeah, I don't think so. I can't believe you're talking about Derek Carr, RJ. Like, what is this?
I'm
Why
not
are you talking about Derek Carr?
I didn't even bring his name up.
Yes, you did. You absolutely did.
I'm doing it to take the piss out of you, dude. Relax.
4 seconds ago, you said I didn't bring him up, and now you're like, well, I only brought it up to take a piss out of you.
I'm taking the.
Which one is it?
I didn't say his name.
You brought him up.
Okay, I brought him up, RJ. I apologize thoroughly. I'm actually a really good guy. I am not a jerk whatsoever. I don't do it just to twist your nipples. Sorry, not sorry. I'm not saying anything. Derek Carr can come and I will suck his dick.
How shitty was our video back then?
How shitty was the fact that you were not going to play that again and now you played it?
Well, you never bring him up again. So now we're being shitty to each other about Carr, right? That was your plan. That's what you wanted to do. Like, let's be shitty to each other about Carr.
Oh, RJ.
You wanted to be shitty to each other about Carr, not me. I didn't bring him up. I didn't say I wanted to be shitty to each other about Carr. That was your idea. And so, like, okay, if you want to be shitty about Carr.
Oh, boy, RJ. When is this ever going to change?
Whenever you want to.
Oh, so it's all on me then. Okay, interesting.
It is. The second you don't want to talk about Carr, we never will again.
RJ, now see, this is what RJ's doing is he's now hijacking this program to be about him and his feelings.
You want to talk about
we could have just I could have just made the joke, and when I said, yeah, I'm just trying to take a piss out of you, we could have moved on, but no, he has to stick with it. It's terrible. It's a terrible part of the show. What a lot of people don't even get.
And why do you keep opening the door?
Because it's a little inside jab. It's a little inside jab. Take it on the chin and move on. You don't have to make an inside jab.
I slipped it through an overhand right.
You don't. And
now you're reeling.
You don't have to make the entire.
Now you're on the ropes.
You don't have to make the entire show about it, RJ.
I slipped it with an overhand right.
No, see, now you're trying to be a dick. Now you're trying to be funny because you're passive aggressive little pussy, and now you're showing your bleeding cunt. We don't have to go this far. You don't have to be a little cunt about it. You don't have to be a cunt.
You open the door.
That's just who you are. But that's just who you are, RJ. You're a bleeding, sniveling, drooling little cunt, and you can't just make it about a show. I can't just tease you
the door
and we move on. I can't just tease you and we move on.
You open the door
about this.
You started being name calling.
Can we move on now?
You said, "Oh no, I didn't say."
How about we just move on now?
Because no one likes my mic, and I can keep.
How about we just keep moving on now?
I'm the passive aggressive cunt when you keep muting my mic.
How about we just move on now?
I'm ready to. Is Davante Adams going to stay a Raider?
I give the chances at pretty low.
That's your mathematical number. I put the chances at probably shitty levels of no to, because there was the report. Schefter, I don't remember who.
Yeah,
he was like, oh, with Aidan O'Connell as quarterback, Davante likes him. This might change it a little bit. I don't know if after this game he wants to stick around. He might not have a choice if there's no market for him. If people aren't going to give up a second for him, might not have a choice. Right?
Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe he buys the team.
You have to buy it from Tom Brady. What level of Tom Brady buying the team went through today? It wasn't approved, but it was like the preliminary paperwork that's like for sure going to make it go through. Went through.
Yeah, he just has to show the money, and he has it. But like the what was it? The offer sheet was like approved. He just has to show that he has the funds to be able to do it.
Mm. Who's the dude that's buying it with him? There's a guy that's like the money dude, like business guy, and he's just the plastic surgery face. Who is buying?
Don't know.
Raiders with Tom Brady. Because this is how everything works. Like Wagner, a guy named Wagner. Because this is how it always works with everything. There's like a face of something, and then there's a dude who's like the business mind, the lawyer, the money guy, the somebody that always handles all that stuff. What is his name? Tom Wagner, co-founder of Nighthead Capital Management. Yeah. So he's got like a hedge fund dude buying it with him. The money's there. That's not an issue. I can't believe Mark Davis wanted to sell it like a chunk of the team for pennies. Like he wanted to, and the NFL is straight up like, dude, that's way too. You realize this is an NFL franchise, right? You realize it's like there's 32 of them. There's multi-billionaires in this world that want one of these teams, and we're not going to give them one. And you want to sell 10% of this team for jerk-off money? Like, that worries me. I guess it shouldn't worry me because it's kind of par for the course for Mark Davis. That's really where all our problems stem from, right? Can we just be real for a minute? All of our Raider problems stem from Mark Davis. There's only one thing that's been consistent this entire 2 decades of shitting. We've had different coaches, different quarterbacks, different cities, different stadiums, different presidents, different GMs, different secretaries, janitors, popcorn dudes. The only consistent thing has been Mark Davis. And I guess, like, he made himself rich as fuck moving to Vegas. Like, what does he care if the team sucks? He's rolling in dough. I mean, that's what's frustrating is as bad as this team gets, Mark Davis is the epitome of failing upwards. You just, I'm just going to like field a crap team all the time. Raider fans will be loyal. I'll keep reeling in hundreds of millions of dollars, and the team's going to keep blowing ass.
I mean, the only thing I can see is that Mark Davis is realizing that he's really bad at being an owner. And that he wants to bring someone in right under him that will have a say as an owner, if not the owner.
Mm-hmm.
Because he knows he can't do it. He knows he's not doing a good job. There's something that he's doing that it's not, that it keeps up coming up snake eyes. No matter what avenue he tries to take or what he tries to do, it's just not working. So,
I think the problem, he's also a star fucker. He's going to like his buddies that like
too many yes men. We've heard it a bunch of times, and I think we know it's true. It's too many yes men in that organization.
Yes men and star fuckers. That's a terrible combination.
And I don't think Brady really wants yes men because he came from an area where he had the most success, and then he brought that success to Tampa Bay because they were not good in the beginning until Brady's like, dude, you have to run the offense like this. He took control, he took charge, and they got better. And if he has the mind for what it takes, because look, who in that organization who's running it has had an extreme amount of success? I mean, probably the most would be maybe Tom Coughlin.
Yeah.
Right? Who's
as the
in a management style, but he's only an advisor. But who else in there has had an extreme amount of success? No one. No one has.
If Tom Brady wants to, he could completely take over this organization unofficially. Like he has Mark Davis is such a star fucker, and he's already proven like, I want to hang out with you so bad, Tom Brady. I'm going to give you 10% of this team for pennies. That if Tom Brady's like, step aside, if Tom Brady like schmoozes Mark Davis and really, really wants to do everything in this organization, he will. I don't know if he wants to. Like he's broadcasting for Fox. He's got endorsements. He's got other side gigs. Like, does he really want to tackle the Raiders and like clean up the mess that is that office? I don't know. I don't know if that's what he wants to do with so many other things he's got going. But if he does want to, he absolutely could. He could be like whoever's running the country right now with Joe Biden's corpse pretending to be president. Like he could be that guy. Like you're not officially the owner, you're not officially the GM, but you're making all the decisions behind the scenes. If Tom Brady wanted to, he absolutely could.
Oh, what makes sense is that I think Joseph Rivas put out, I'm tired about, maybe Mark Davis is tired. Maybe he's tired of
his own fuckery.
Well, he's just tired of what it takes to be an owner because he never really did anything else. I mean, he actually was went against Al. He was against his dad when he was Greg Townsend's agent. I don't know if you guys remember knew that, but he was Greg Townsend's agent for a while. So he was like negotiating against his father.
No conflict of interest there.
Yeah, right. So it's you have to take all that into account, that he's not good at what he does. The people that are advising him are not leading him down a path that's leading to success. Tom Brady could be his consigliere. You don't know. He can be his what the hell's his name in Godfather?
William or not William Dafoe.
Come on.
What's his face?
No, the character name. Tom Hagen.
Yeah.
Tom Hagen. He can be his Tom Hagen in Godfather. That can be him.
Or he could be the actual Godfather if he wants to. He
just be what? He probably could. He can schmooze his way up. He can do a whole Succession thing.
If he wanted to.
The thing that we have to realize here is Tom Brady comes into that franchise, into the Raiders, and he automatically gets pushed to the front of the list of credibility, because nobody on that list of people higher ups, even in their own field, as a GM, as a team president, as a water boy, as nobody on that organization has had as much success in their field as Tom Brady has had in his.
And I'm not saying he'd be good at it. I'm saying if he wanted to, it would be his. I'm not saying Tom Brady would come and be our savior. I'm saying
he automatically has the most credibility out of anyone in that franchise.
We know we're over talking about this fucking game when we're like hypothesizing Tom Brady's future role as a minority owner. So I think that's good enough for one day. It's been an hour. This was an awful game. We thought it would be ugly. We didn't think it would be.
What I tell you, what I text to you before the game started.
The whole inactives list.
And then what I say. Oh yeah, curb stomping coming right up.
We got it.
Curb stomping coming right up.
The Steelers really are the perfect team to make us look bad, because like they're so good in the gray area and we're so bad in the gray area that it just takes over. Like we beat Lamar Jackson, but like if you're good in the gray area, Justin Fields can like whoop our ass. You know what I mean? All right, I'm gonna get drunk.
Whoa, is that really you? Freaking, what's that picture? What the heck? Anyway, don't worry about that. AOC is straight up trash. He's not straight up trash, but he's not an upgrade to Minshew. He just does different things well while he does other things poorly.
They're going to lead to the same number of wins and losses, most likely, this season. One's a little bit better at some stuff. One's a little bit better at some other stuff. Sam Abedondo, going to open my Blue Label and watch The Godfather. That sounds like a phenomenal evening. That sounds like a great night. Blue Label. I haven't had Blue Label since when the LA Kings won their first Stanley Cup in 2012. I went to Dogs, a fucking dive bar on 2nd Street. I'm like, give me the fanciest whiskey you have. And the guy's like, I think I got Blue Label. So I had Blue Label at like a shitty dive bar. And I remember that day, and no joke, like that was the Kings had never won a Stanley Cup in 49 years, right? I was like, hockey was my very first love. The very first sport I fell in love with. I was so happy. Like we won the cup. It was like such a great playoff. We were crushing everybody. And I was like, and I legitimately thought this. I'm like, if this feels this good, imagine if the Raiders won the Super Bowl. It would be this amazing, incredible feeling times 10. Like it would just be like an orgy of feeling. I'm not gonna feel that feeling this year.
How much was each drink? How much did they squeeze you for each drink?
I don't remember. It was our girl Rachel's ex-boyfriend at the time, so I think he hooked me up.
Oh yeah, you didn't pay full price there.
Yeah, he hooked me up. I don't remember what it was.
So I stepped back to call Dogs a dive bar because they actually have regular bottles of white wine. Crows, on the other hand, had that jug of white wine with the little handle on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a dive bar.
If they serve you box of wine, that's my kind of establishment.
But they do it like a Capri Sun. They just stick a straw in it and hand it to you.
Dude, the individual box of wine is such an underrated beverage. One, not glass. It's not going to like break. You can travel well. You don't have to refrigerate it like a beer or a cocktail. The cardboard ones look like protein shakes. So you can drink it while you're driving or like on the street, and you can like the cops could like
Jesus Christ, RJ.
Yeah, they might just think it's like a protein shake, you know?
Protein shake.
And the big box of wine, it doesn't go bad because oxygen doesn't get in. So you can open it and just drink it for weeks, and it never like, you know, a good bottle of wine, you got 48 hours before it goes bad. Well, there's your box of wine. Lesson for the day. Raiders fall 32-13. We'll do a live show if Davante Adams gets traded or if they announce he's going to stay. We'll do a regular show this week. And we'll try to take the gum barrels out of our mouths.
All right, I'm going to show you something funny. We were terrible today, but we weren't this bad. There's a chick throwing up on the ground, a Cowboys fan, and then a Detroit fan is doing the gritty next to her. At least we weren't punked like that.
That is a visual representation of what happened to us. That's not literally what happened to us, but it's a pretty accurate visual representation.
No, this is the visual representation of what happened to us.
Getting gorilla fucked from behind.
Getting gorilla fucked from behind. That was the next video. Like random.
If there was a fifth quarter, that would have happened to us. Easily. All right, we'll leave you guys with that visual. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
And until then, knock on wood if you're with me. Hey, you made it to the end of our video. Great job. I know you want more. Go ahead and click the next video. And if you're feeling crazy, go ahead and subscribe.